hopefully is a great month for you. It's going to be a great month for me. January, couldn't get it out of my rearview mirror fast enough. So hello to everybody from Wentzville, Missouri. So I'm going to have to mute that. Now my TV is going nuts. Hold on a second.
This is how AG.
Sorry about that. I had that TV up. I tried to be slick. I had it up on my feed up over there on that TV, and it decided to play ads in the beginning. So sorry about that. So some things we're going to talk about today. 2025 Tiguan. Will not be at the auto show, but I got news on the 2025 Tiguan. 2025 Jetta. There's news on that. 2025 Taos. There's news on that. There's no news on 25 Atlas or Atlas Crossboard other than what I've already talked about. And then 2025 ID Buzz. We're getting closer to that actually showing up in real life and in person. That's going to be at the Chicago Auto Show. And then the 2025 ID7 is also going to be at the Auto Show in Chicago. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. People can say it to be there, but logistical issues, things of that nature could mess it up. But I plan on being at the Chicago Auto Show next week. After the Super Bowl. No, I guess that's not next week, the week after. To see what I can spy on there. Hopefully we can get some good ideas on what's going on there. 2025 Tiguan won't be there. My hopes are kind of dashed on that. I was hoping to get a good look at that car, but it won't be there. Hello to everybody out there. I'm actually going to open up the screen here so I can see the chat here. Just type hello where you're at, just so I can say hi. First off, we'll start off with the 2025 Tiguan. What we do know about that car, yes, it's going to be a hybrid, and there's going to be a gas model allegedly too for the U.S. The reason the 2025 Tiguan is not coming to the auto show is because it's a European spec that they have. That is not what we're getting in the U.S., so we won't get to see that. Doesn't do us any good to see the shorter wheelbase Tiguan than the one we're actually going to get. The big things about that, again, infotainment screen. I got people telling me it's a 15-inch screen, not a 12-inch screen that's in the Atlas. Also, it's going to have chat GBT on all 2025 models, including the Tiguan. Chat GBT, so you'll get more intuitive voice interaction with the car itself. When you do searches and things of that nature, or ask a question or ask it to navigate. I've never used chat GBT for anything, so I don't know what that is. Looks like we're going to be an industry leader for that one because we're the first brand that's doing that. I want to guess that Audi will probably follow suit soon after that. The long and the short of it is Volkswagen's looking to be do a really huge tech push starting next year, to 2025. So, Tiguan, horsepower bump, infotainment, the interiors, they're wiping the slate. They're doing the same thing they did with the Atlas. They're going to blow it up, or they're going to open the door, throw in a grenade, and then start all over again. So the interiors are going to be more plush, more soft touch stuff, less plasticky, less all of those things. Less knobs. The illuminated logo on the front is now going to be across the board on pretty much every model. Tiguan gets that illuminated tail light logo as well. I believe that's coming to the Tiguan as well, and that's most likely going to be in all the trims. Now Volkswagen has a light signature, and they're going to use that. You'll see it in the GTI, you'll see it in the Golf R, you'll see it in the Tiguan next year, and there's a possibility that it's coming to the Taos and the Jetta as well. That is yet to be seen, but that's the rumor. That's what's coming. Let's see here. Also, let's go to Jetta. Lots of people ask me, they reach out to me about Jetta. Jetta, I didn't know what was going on with that. We weren't hearing anything. We just had, there was a dealer meeting where they just released information regarding the Jetta. The Jetta in 2025 does get a refresh. New front end, new tail end, and then also it's going to get, hello, how we doing? Nathan, you're back again. You're becoming a regular. I love it. I appreciate it. And hello to Pennsylvania. Sorry about the Eagles, man. I'm sorry. I love my Chiefs, so I'm from Kansas City. 20 years plus in Kansas City, and now I've been in St. Louis 20 years, and they can't keep a football team here, so I'm still a Chiefs fan. So I'm a legit one, not a bandwagon one. I was even a Chiefs fan when they sucked. They sucked for a long time, and now they're actually good. So Jetta does get a refresh. I'm hearing that there may be a new infotainment update too for that. I don't know if that means the big screen or if that just means some type of update to what they're currently using. Again, it sounds like the Jetta does meet the X, meet the X in 2026 or soon thereafter. Steelers fans. So I like Big Ben. I've always liked the Steelers. I even had the Steelers hat at one time when I was a little guy. I love black and gold. You said we stink too. Okay, that's funny. You'll be good again. You guys won't be down for long. There's no worries. Let's see. So the Jetta, again, there's some type of refresh coming. The front end's going to be different. Illuminated light bar on the front. And I don't know about the back, but I think it's going to have at least the extended tail light across the back. Volkswagen's serious about doing this light signature now on these cars. It started with ID4, then it went to Atlas and Atlas Cross Sport. To some extent, it was already in the Taos and the SEL, but the logo didn't light up. But there was a light bar. The Tiguan SEL logo didn't light up, but there was in the light bar. And Golf R and GTI. There was a LED light bar, but the logo didn't light up. Now they're going all in. The logo will light up. And how you'll tell the difference between an electric and an ICE, I'll refer to it as an ICE engine once in a while. Internal combustion engine is what that means. It's just the lingo that's come up in the car business now. Since there's electrics too, there's EVs or BEVs, battery electric vehicles, and then ICE for internal combustion engines. The thing is though, there's going to be a difference in the light signature between the two. Light signature for an electric car, the entire logo is filled in and lit up. The internal combustion engines or ICE engines, it will be the outline of the VW logo. It means it's a gas burning engine. That's how you'll know the difference seeing them on the road. Because you won't probably be close enough to hear it or anything like that. Not that it matters, but they are going to have a distinct light signature now. Volkswagen's doing that going forward. Let's see. The Jetta GLI will also have some refreshes. Again, they're talking about. It sounds like they're talking about a new infotainment screen at the very minimum. Refreshed front end with an LED light bar. Maybe the illuminated logo in the center. They didn't mention that specifically, but that's their light signature that they're going to. So I'm going to presume that that's coming too. Same with the tail lights on the back. GLI Autobahn for 2024. I've yet to see one in person. Other than we've dealer traded for a couple. Hopefully we'll get one and I'll be able to show you that. All we've been getting were 40th anniversary editions and they don't last long. Let's see. The manual transmission for GLI remains. It is not going away in 2025. You will still have that for at least 2025. Manual transmission will stay. Golf R and GTI, of course, they're done after 2024. So if you can't get a 380, if you haven't started looking for your 380, which is code speak for manual transmission GTI, you need to do that now. Because dealers have them now, they won't have them later. And then once people get the word late, and then everybody is all over the country is looking for manual transmissions. They're all over the place right now, but they won't be later because the word will get out, and then people start snapping them up left and right. And then dealers, the dealers that have some remaining will be. They're going to mark the car up. So you're not going to get it at MSRP. There won't be any MSRP deals or discount deals. Right now, my dealership does have a discount on it. Also, while I'm thinking of this, on my website, if you type in vwstl.com, that is my website at my dealership. Not my website, but the dealership's website. You'll see that every dang car on that dealership website is discounted. So if you're waiting to shop for cars, looking for a certain car or whatever, I've got discounts on them. We have what's called a minimum advertised price threshold. So we can't go below a certain amount. Our regional council keeps us in check where we can't advertise a lower price than what's on there. So if you're looking for a car and you're willing to travel to St. Louis, don't reach out to me if you're looking for lease. Me giving out lease numbers is a waste of time for you and me because whatever state you reside in, is what your lease is going to be. And there's a whole lot of dealerships between my state and your state. So when people ask me about lease numbers on a car and they're in New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut, I don't respond to that. I can't, just because all you're going to do is take that number and shop it at another dealer closer to you because you don't want to make the drive here. And I recognize that and I respect that and I realize it's just, don't ask me to give you lease numbers. Don't ask me to give you my bottom out the door price on a car when you're out of state. It just doesn't do me any good. It doesn't help either one of us. Hey, Vegan Jen, how are you? You're up in Canada, right? Is it Vancouver? I believe you said Vancouver. My favorite Jetta owner, you traded in a Jetta for a Tiguan, if I remember right. I think I remember that correctly. So, Toronto, that's what it was, right? The Blue Jays. Okay, so we talked about Jetta, we talked about GLI. There are changes coming for Taos as well. Refreshed front end, refreshed back end, infotainment screen. Something's coming different there. Again, don't know if it's the big screen or if they're sticking with the regular screen, but the fact that they're incorporating ChatGPT into all of the new cars in 2025 makes me think it's going to be that new infotainment screen. So they're all going to have a different dash. Headlights are going to look a little different. Tail lights are going to look a little different. Illuminated light bar, illuminated logo. So there's lots of changes coming there as well. Also, they're going to an 8-speed transmission standard on the Taos. What that sounds like to me is that the DSG is going to go away for the 4Motion version of the Taos, which didn't pair well with that car. It shifts differently. It's a 7-speed DSG. It didn't always shift the best on the all-wheel drive Taoses. If you drive a front-wheel drive Taos and then drive an all-wheel drive Taos, there's a noticeable difference between how those two cars drive. So I think they're normalizing that by going with the 8-speed transmission across the board. Sounds like there's going to be no other real changes there. And later in 2024, this current model year, the Taos will also get something called an SE Black. It's not an R-Line Black, an SE R-Line Black or anything like that. It's going to have black roof, black accents, and it's supposedly going to look a little more rugged, maybe a little more off-roadish, something probably along the lines of what the Peak Edition looks like on the Atlas. That's supposed to come out later in the 2024 model year. And then in 2025, they're going to get the refresh. Also, Tiguan 2025. Back to that for a second. SEL-R-Line Black Edition. Everybody loves that car. That's such a badass looking car. It's a badass color combo, whether you get the red, the white, the silver, or the gray. Such a sharp looking car. And we sell a lot of them. They go away after 2024. They're not going to keep that as a 2025. At least when they introduce the 2025, it won't be there as an introductory in the introductory of the 2025 Tiguan. So if you're on an SEL-R-Line Black Edition, get one now because they won't be around once these 25s start to hit the lots. Also, let's see. Trying to think what else I would tell you on Tiguan 2024. Oh. Tiguan S. Tiguan S for 2024 later in production is going to have satellite radio connectivity, navigation capability, which makes me think that, remember I said before how they tend to empty the parts bin when they start getting done, when they get down towards the end of a production model, where they come up with a trim or they change features to make sure they run out of radios or whatever it is they're trying to use up. The Tiguan S is going to have that radio, so wireless Apple CarPlay, navigation, wireless Android Auto, with navigation and satellite radio are coming to the Tiguan S later in the production year. My guess is that's going to be to get rid of those pieces, so when the 2025 model comes in, they don't have any stuff left over. Also, Tiguan is going to be built in Germany, more than likely. That's what it sounds like, Germany. Hi, Megan. How are you? How's the crossport? Megan came up to see me. She came all the way from Texas to see me and bought a car from me. So, man, you guys can do it too. Let's see here. So I was talking about Tiguan. Oh yeah, the parts bin being empty. So SER-Line Black going to go away after 2024, but late model year production of the Tiguan S will include wireless charging, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and navigation, potentially. Let's see. I know the Atlas was just updated for 24, but are you aware of any updates coming for Atlas that incorporates physical buttons or similar to the updated GTI Golf R? Physical buttons for touchscreen, all that stuff? No changes there. However, I believe the Chat GBT upgrade is going to be just incorporated into that infotainment screen. So that's probably it for the Atlas. Atlas Crossport will get an SER-Line Black Edition next year because I think the game plan is still for 2026 for them to do a complete redo of the Atlas. I know this 2024 seems like it was a redo, but it was only a refresh, but it was a heart attack refresh. I mean, it was like get the defibrillators out and pump the heart. That was an insane refresh. I've never seen one that extensive before, but they had to do it because the competition had raised the bar and was surpassing them. So they had to get back up with everybody else or above everybody else looking down. And 2025, they're promising to do more interior upgrades, more interior changes where they're more compatible and they're more on the luxury end or closer to the cusp of luxury. So they're working on that on all of the cars. Let's see. So I talked about Jetta. I talked about Taos. Definitely talked about Tiguan. GTI. We've already seen that at the CES where it's going to do the light bar, the illuminated logo. 2025 is going to look the Taos is going to look very different from the 24 or just subtle changes. I think they're going to be subtle changes. So I'm thinking they're probably going to tweak the headlights, maybe make a little more thinner or something. That tends to be what they do. Tail lights are probably going to have some type of design in them. My guess is because with the Atlas, if you look closely at a 2023 tail light and a 2024 tail light on an Atlas, the two outside pieces that are on the back quarter panels are exactly the same. That whole strip in the middle with the light bar and the logo is what changed. So now there's a spot for a tail light all the way across on the Atlas and the Crossport where it wasn't before. That was the only real change there because the two outside pieces are the same as the 2023 and 2022 was, or even the 2021. So they didn't change anything there. So I'm going to guess that the Taos is going to follow along those lines. But I think everything's getting the big infotainment screen. No knobs, but different software, different, and they're not going to be buggy. They've been working on this software and hammering. Chat GBT is going to be included in those. So that software is going to look a little different. The touchscreen is going to look a little different. And if it's what my sources are telling me, that may be a 15-inch screen. That's going to be a big screen for to put up right there on the dash. But it's going to have a lot of smart capabilities too. So you'll be able to interact with it, tell it your feet are cold, your hands are cold, things of that nature, and it'll actually turn on heated seats, heated steering wheel, floor vents, things of that nature. Let's see. The other thing that I would say about Atlas, how would I put this? There typically aren't going to be any other tweaks. Do I need to worry about the DSG transmission? No, the DSG transmission, in my opinion, is the best transmission there is. I don't know if you're referring to what vehicle you're referring to about on the DSG transmission, but on the Taos, it's quirky with the revs and the shifting on that car and the all-wheel drive. If you're referring to the Taos, it drives fine, but it's a little. The best way to put it is herky-jerky. And I think that's why they're doing this fix where they're going to an 8-speed transmission because it pairs better with that 1.5 engine. And that is the only thing in the Volkswagen lineup for the Taos that has a DSG outside of GLI, Jetta, and Golf R. So, yeah, those are the only things that have DSG, and it makes sense that those three performance cars have a DSG. And the Taos, it didn't really make sense to have it. I didn't understand why they put it in there in the first place. But, yeah, it's a great shifting car. Transmission, I should say. So back to GTI. GTI, I believe they say they're going. You're welcome, Jen. I believe they said that they're going to do another horsepower bump on that car. These are going to be the last 2 years for the GTI. Allegedly, 2026 is when they go to electric. Doesn't sound like it's going to be a GTE, but it's going to be a GTI, an electric GTI. I'm not sure what they're actually going to call it. Hopefully not eGTI or something like that. But there's a GTE over in Europe, and I'm not sure. I think that may be a hybrid engine that they're using there, but I'm not 100% sure. But GTI next year, DSG only, illuminated logo, LED light bar, new infotainment screen, chat GBT, tail light, new tail light setup. It's going to be a more three-dimensional. Oh, and the other thing is it's going to have LED matrix headlights. Hey, Fritz, how you doing? So LED matrix headlights are also coming to the Tiguan. I believe the GTI has them too. That means the Golf R is going to follow suit. Power folding mirrors are standard on Golf R and GTI. And here's the other thing that I think with that Tiguan, I wouldn't be surprised if they do throw in power folding mirrors as a standard item on that. The heated steering wheel being standard and ventilated seats being standard on Atlas and Atlas Crossport across the board makes me think that they may bring that on the Tiguan as well. That would be a great add. I don't see them bringing power folding mirrors to the Taos. No, it doesn't really make sense because it has a manual lift gate. The mirrors are not power on any trim, or power folding, I should say. So Taos is a pretty simpleton car. That's a budget-friendly car, and that's where that car will probably reside. The SE Black for the Taos, that's coming out later production. I would expect to probably see that car showing up around April. It'll have a short run. That's typically how they do it, and then it'll be done, and then the 2025 Taos will show up. And the 2025 Taos, again, infotainment upgrade, front end and back end upgrade with an LED light bar, illuminated logo, and chat GBT in the infotainment system, and probably no knobs or buttons on the infotainment. Where the buttons are going to be, a lot of you have asked before about the buttons coming back and not having capacitive touch. Capacitive touch goes away. It's currently on Golf R, GTI, Tiguan SEL-R-Line, Tiguan SE-R-Line, ID4, and I think that's it. Jetta GLI, the Autobahn. That all goes away. They're going to go back to physical buttons. You don't lose any features. They're still backlit. You still have the volume control. You still have the song skip and preset skip. The heated steering wheel icon or button is there for those cars, but it's not capacitive touch. No more swipe to touch. It'll, with the haptic feedback, it's just going to be touch or buttons, regular buttons. That's on the steering wheel. Infotainment, no knobs, no buttons. What makes me curious though is GTI S, when they do go to 2025 with this chat GBT and the other stuff, I don't know if there's going to be a difference in infotainment between the S, the SE, and the Autobahn if they choose to do all three trims again. Because currently the GTI S radio is still touchscreen, but it has two knobs, whereas you go to SE or Autobahn, no knobs on the infotainment system with navigation and all that stuff, and dual zone climate control versus single zone. I would think that they probably just maybe streamline it and do the same infotainment in all three, just you won't have Harman Kardon in the S model. Those are just my presumptions. Speaking of Harman Kardon, Fender goes away. Everything's going to be Harman Kardon allegedly. Fender is currently still in Tiguan SEL-R-Line. Beats Audio is in Jetta GLI, Taos SEL, and GTI went to Harman Kardon. So I would guess that the long and the short is Volkswagen is going to streamline everything. The same key fob for all of the models. The same infotainment for all of the models. The same features for all of the models. Updated interiors for all of the models. All of this stuff that they're looking to do. There are putting the quality interiors in here and all this other stuff. So you're going to see a lot of deep changes in these cars. There's one I didn't mention here. ID Buzz. Let's talk about that one for a minute. three trims for that. The first edition, just like when they did ID4, there was a first edition rear-wheel drive. There will be a Pro S rear-wheel drive and a Pro S all-wheel drive. It'll be a 7-seater with the option for captain's chairs, which makes it a 6-seater. So that operating system in the back or the middle row there is going to be pretty similar to what you see in the Atlas now, with the bottom dropping out, the seat pitching forward, the seat folding flat. The seats are not removable, but they're there. There's no table option yet, but the accessories that are going to come out with the Buzz are going to be pretty cool, pretty nostalgic. Looks like there's going to be a camping one, like a tent, an awning one, roof racks, ski racks, things of that nature. This is going to be a very cool car. And man, I hope to get some content with this car for you at the auto show. I'm looking forward to that. The auto show is actually using the ID Buzz in their logo this year. So all of their promo material shows a blue and white ID Buzz kind of half off the screen there. So it looks like they're anticipating that, especially with Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, all of the Stellantis brands not going to that auto show. So no test track, no Jeeps to drive, no Rubicons, no Wranglers, none of that stuff. The EV test drive track is probably going to be the place to be. Now, knowing Volkswagen, I don't think they're going to have a Buzz that's going to be drivable for the public. I don't think they're going to have an ID7 that's drivable for the public. They're going to be for show only. You can bet the other manufacturers are going to have EVs there to drive, and Volkswagen will probably have ID4s there to drive. Hopefully they're the 2024s, but I'm not sure because I don't know that they're building a 2024 spec units yet that are actually be sold. I think they're all doing pre-production run vehicles to get them into the trainers' hands and in the employees' hands, the employees that need dealer cars to travel from dealer to dealer. So 2024 ID4 is going to be around hopefully by March. More power, more torque, more range, and faster 0 to 60. The ID7 is allegedly going to be able to do 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. That'll have a 435-mile range. That is going to be a gorgeous car. The thing is, that car is not built in the U.S. It, at this point, won't qualify for any kind of federal tax credits or any kind of federal incentives, being that it's not built into the U.S. The ID4, however, still does. If you have the SK on battery, if you get one with the SK on battery, it will still qualify for the full 7500. That's on the 2023 model, and if you get a 2024, they're still going to qualify as well because they're going to be using the SK on battery, not the LG battery. If the vehicle has the LG battery, it's not going to qualify for that tax credit. Just so you guys are aware of that. ID Buzz though. I have 3 of these people on the wait list for this car. It's going to be interesting to see how many of those we get at a time because they're going to come over from Germany by boat. So is the ID7, and in 2025, so is the Tiguan. So they're going to do these Ro-Ro boats, Ro-Ro as in R-O, which means roll on, roll off, where they hold 4,000, I think upwards of 5,000 cars. They're going to be making that trip over from Germany to Rhode Island or Houston. That's where our ports are, and offload there. So it's going to take a little bit of longer time to fulfill those cars or prime the pump than if they were coming out of Mexico. Let's see. The ID Buzz. We don't have any pricing information on that car yet. However, it sounds like that car may start at the 60,000 range. Allegedly, that's just what the boards say, the forums and things of that nature. All of my information comes from forums and all that stuff. Volkswagen is the last to give us real information, but when they do give us real information, I let you know because I do know about the refreshed front end and back end of those vehicles that I talked about. So that's why I can give you that information with confidence. Let's see here. Do you know if they're going to bring back the Golf Rabbit back to North America? The Golf, no. The only Golf that we get are going to be Golf R and GTI still. And then, let's see. The rabbit iterations or anything like that. I don't foresee that. They may do something in 2026 for the last year of the internal combustion engine. Um, I wouldn't put that past them. In fact, it may be a final edition or something like that for the GTI and the Golf R, because they're planning on going electric on those cars. Um, but yeah, I don't see the Golf itself coming back. However, this year is the 50th anniversary of the Golf, so they may, you know what? That might actually be a possibility. They may have something up their sleeve for the 50th anniversary of the Golf. So I would say stand by on that question. I wish I could tell you for sure, but I just don't know. Speaking of anniversaries, so last year we had the 20th anniversary for the Golf R. So there was a Golf R 20th anniversary edition. Then there was a GTI, was the 40th anniversary edition, both in 2023 model year. This year, 2024, it's the 40th anniversary for the GLI. So you had 20th anniversary last year for Golf R and GTI, 40th anniversary this year for GLI. Now, in model year 2024 going into 2025, 50th anniversary for the Golf itself, the actual Golf car, when it first debuted. And it's been their most popular seller. It's the car they sell the most of, and it's one of the top selling cars in the world ever for longevity, history, whatever. It's up there with the Ford F-150, the Beetle. It's just been a popular utilitarian car. So I'm sure they've got something up there for the 50th anniversary of the Golf. Definitely. They are doing, and you see all those little teasers that are going on, for the 75th anniversary of Volkswagen in the U.S., 1949 is when they set up. They were in Englewood, New Jersey. They now are situated in Reston, Virginia. But they're going to do some big stuff. They got a big Super Bowl ad coming up, and they're going to be doing a lot of push this year for Volkswagen as a brand, being it's our 75th anniversary. The commercial, the first one they ran, though, I'll be honest, it looked like they were going to announce that the Beetle was coming back. That's not what's happening. It's just the 75th anniversary of the company in the U.S. I've been with them for 10, so that's pretty amazing in itself. There's my 5 and 10 year plaques back there behind me. That's just the 75th anniversary that's coming up. A lot of cool things are probably going to happen this year. At least I hope so. Let's see. GLI, I talked about that, and I'll just recap because there's 14 people in here that weren't in here before. 14 people is the high for this right now. So Jetta GLI and Jetta will keep a manual transmission for 2025. The front end and back end get a refresh, and the Taos gets a refresh, front end and back end, and gets an 8-speed transmission instead of the DSG is what it sounds like. And I'm looking at my notes to make sure I cover other stuff here. That new infotainment screen across the board. ID4, new shifter on the ID4, the 2024. It's in a new spot and it's a new style of shifter. The software, I believe, is going to get that new software infotainment screen with ChatGPT as well. And then, of course, the new Tiguan gets all of its stuff. Let's see. Manual transmission, infotainment. So I've covered all of those things there. Does anybody out there have any other questions at all? Because I covered everything I wanted to cover there. Does anybody have any questions about anything else at all? Like, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? What the weather's like? You know who I'm pulling for? Chiefs. So, let's see. There's no NFL team in Toronto. Why is that, Vegan Jen? Do you think the NFL would do good up there? Oh man. And let's see here. So I want to make sure we haven't heard anything about Wolfsburg Edition. I think the last year I heard of Wolfsburg was the 2019 Passat. In 2019, did they have the Sport Wagon? I think there was a Sport Wagon Wolfsburg, or there was a special edition Sport Wagon, Golf Sport Wagon. and that was pretty much it. Jetta Wolfsburg edition was 2017, 2018, I think, and that was it. They haven't really talked about the Wolfsburg edition or using that name anymore. Oh, and the Tiguan had it too in 2016 or 2017. Yeah, so the Wolfsburg edition, that was a cool thing, but they didn't really feature load that car. That car maybe got you heated seats, maybe push button start, but it didn't get you keyless entry on anything. It got you the little emblem on the C pillar, or not the C pillar, but the door pillar there. Well, Fritz, you know, and I know the Phaeton did come back. They did bring it back, but it's over in Europe. It's not in the U.S. That's another thing. Volkswagen should do some of these limited runs on these vehicles, these European-only spec vehicles. And I get it. It's for the EPA. They got to get EPA to sign off or approve these cars. The fuel economy, in a lot of cases, doesn't meet the EPA's California standards, so they don't bother. It's costly to bring those cars to the States. But the Phaeton, bring it in limited production. You bring 1,500 units over every year. 1,500, not 3,500, not 3,000, none of that. Just bring 1,500. The Polo is another one. The Polo, the Scirocco, the Tiguan R, the Touareg. Bring them back in limited runs. Do 1,500 Touareg Rs every year. Bring them to the States. Tiguan Rs, 1,500 of them. Bring them to the States. Those cars would sell. The Audi SQ5. The SQ5 sells well in the U.S. The SQ3 sells well in the U.S. Why not have a Tiguan R? It's basically a Golf R on stilts for you guys that don't know that. And that lapis blue color is absolutely on point. Looks great on the Tiguan. The Polo GTI would be another good ad for the U.S. Scirocco would be a good one for the U.S. as well. I just wish they would do a little more and stop treating the U.S. like we're not interested in those cars or we don't deserve those cars, because those are great cars. Those are great cars. And maybe even build an Amarok or an Amarok version in Chattanooga. That would be a great version to have here too. That way you avoid the chicken tax. And for you guys that don't know what the chicken tax is, that is a tariff on imported pickup trucks that was assigned back in the 70s, probably around 70. I want to say 77, but I'm not sure the exact year. But basically, that tariff makes the cost of a pickup truck that's imported from out of the U.S. into the U.S. Just not cost-effective option for a buyer in the U.S. Therefore, we don't sell those cars here. That's why you see the Amarok in South America, Australia, Latin America. You don't see it in the U.S. Great truck, just won't see it in the U.S. Let's see. So the other thing I'll talk about here, and I tend to talk about before, I'll talk about some dealership stuff that kind of goes on and some things about buying a car. If anybody's out there, and you guys will watch this, there will be people who watch this later, so it's kind of for those people as well. There's two car markets right now. There's the used car market and the new car market, and they're completely different. Buying a used car is completely different than buying a new car. So buying a new car, I can really talk about that. I can really speak to that in the fact that there's incentives, number one. There's special APRs. Right now, Volkswagen's running a 1.9 on certain cars. There's a 2.9 on other cars. There's a 3.9 on yet other cars, and a 4.9 on still other cars. So Volkswagen's got all these different APRs on these cars. Does that guy you showed with 500,000 miles on his? Yes, he still has it. He's over 520,000 miles. 520,000 miles. He's still over it. And I have another guy that just bought a Golf R from me who's at 429. I think he's at 429,000 on his Jetta. And he's out in California. He still drives it. He uses that as his daily driver car, and he uses the Golf R just kind of like date night and things like that, just kind of poking around. So I've got two people that combined have almost 1 million miles on their cars. Two people that have almost 1 million miles on their cars. That's insanity. And I did talk to someone who has an Atlas that's over 160,000 miles on her Atlas. She has a 2021 and a half Atlas and has 167,000 miles on her car. Still going. Guys, I'm telling you what, these cars, all you gotta do is do the maintenance. Do the maintenance. I know the maintenance costs more on a German car than a U.S. made car. I'm not a U.S. made car, but a American manufacturer like GMC, Jeep, or whatever. But man, the longevity is there. Just do the maintenance. I can't tell you that enough. So back to what I was talking about. Buying a new car, incentives, dealer discounts, special APRs, all of that stuff's there. Buying that car is different than buying a used car. Too many times I see people who come into the dealership and want a wheel and deal on a used car. Doesn't work the same because every used car is different. I could have 3 used Atlases, 2022s. We'll use 2022 as a model year. They're all SE Techs. One's a 2022 SE Tech, 40,000 miles. One's with 60,000 miles, and one's with 12,000 miles. Let's just say that. The variables are so out of control on these cars. First of all, 2022 was the year of the deletes. So this one here has deletes on it. Okay, so this one may not have a power liftgate, may not have blind spot monitoring, and then when they did the delete for blind spot monitoring, they also deleted rear cross traffic alert. So those are 2 things that are missing from that car. So also, if you're a shopper for a 2021 to 2023 model car used, make sure you get a copy of the window sticker for that car and make sure it has stuff on it, because the dealer is not going to tell you that that car is missing stuff. Atlas, a 3-row Atlas is a large car to have no blind spot, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to not have a power liftgate on that car. But that's what happened in 2022. Already have one where it was at another dealer, and that dealer was offering them a great deal on this car, but declined to tell them about the fact that it had deletes. We pulled the window sticker on that car, was able to look at it and go, wait, that car didn't have blind spot, didn't have rear cross traffic alert, didn't have the power liftgate. And if it's a cross sport, there were 3 things they were deleting: rear cross traffic alert with the power liftgate. That was kind of combined. Blind spot and rear traffic alert are together. I said that wrong. And then the power liftgate was yet another one. And then they also deleted the heated mirrors on the cross sports for 2022 to 2023. So those are things that are missing off of that car. And if you live up north, I don't want to go without heated mirrors. I really don't want to go without a power liftgate. And I don't like going without a blind spot or rear cross traffic alert. Even though the cross sport is a smaller car than the full-size Atlas, there's still an issue there. So here's what we see. This dealer A, that doesn't have a Volkswagen brand and doesn't know or care about the fact that this car had deleted options on it, one, could have this car priced higher than they should, thinking it has all these standard features that a usual Atlas of that caliber would have, but they didn't do their homework to see if it does or does not. COVID messed up everything. So this is a thing that we'd have to deal with as a buyer and as a seller. So people are trading out of those cars earlier, one, because the new ones have all of the stuff. The new ones don't have deleted options on them, and they just are better. A COVID year car tended to be built with less quality because the manufacturer was always short-handed. The parts supplier, I'm going to get water here. The parts supplier was always short-handed or low on parts or deleted parts. Things weren't happening. And I live in a town where there is a GM plant, and I heard from people, we talked to people here too, that cars would go down the line and quality control was just turned off. Where cars would come down the line, something was hanging or dangling or whatever, and they just said, just send it, let the dealership deal with it. Usually in the past, when it was a non-COVID year, they would fix that, they'd flag it, park it over there, go to quality control, fix this, fix that, then put it back on the lot, load it on a truck, and send it to the dealership fixed. When COVID hit, they stopped doing that. Thank you, Mr. Sloan. You're welcome. So, those people are getting out of those cars early because now they're just aggravated that they don't have a power lift gate. They're aggravated they don't have blind spot. They're aggravated about all these other things, and they just want to dump the car. They had to buy a car because they needed a car during COVID, and there weren't any cars on the lot. I can't tell you how many people would come in and go, "What do you have? I'll take it." That's how people bought cars 21 and 22, and kind of at the tip of 2023, and now 2023 is leveled out. Um, so there's that. Also, with those atlases, um, there were things whenever a new model year comes out, i.e., the 2024, there's a precipitous drop in the previous models, all of them across the board. 2018, 2019, 2020, that was all one generation. Then 2021, 2022, and 2023 was yet another generation. Both of those generations drop because now there's a 2024 and it's completely different from those two. So that is a big deal there too. So what I'm getting at, lots of people coming in on the used car market, and they come in and they're just disenchanted. They leave upset or just mad because things aren't what they expected them to be. One, prices are still high. Let's see. Vegan Gen. Which models of which car? Do you mean which models like across the board with Volkswagen, or do you mean a specific model and you're asking about a trim? Kind of elaborate for me. So people were just mad and frustrated because they can't negotiate like they want to on a used car. One, because it costs more to get the cars. Two, there still is a shortage of cars compared to what is usually in the pipeline. I mean, if you were looking for, well, let's just call it a Jeep Wrangler. Used to be you could find a Jeep Wrangler every once in a while. It'd be a needle in a haystack, but you could find a Jeep Wrangler used, maybe 5-6 years old, and you know, maybe an old body style like the two-door body style, a square body with the little tires. You might be able to find one of those for under 20 grand. Then it got to the point where nope, can't find one under 30 grand, can't find one under 40 grand. It just got like that, and that's still got to retract and come down. And you add to that the fact that there's a shortage of used cars because there was a shortage of new cars. Whatever that is, just think of it as a timeline. The new cars, the continuous flow of new cars going into lease pools, fleet pools, and things of that nature. And that was a continual, uninterrupted stream that was coming out of new cars and cycling into used because Hertz, Enterprise, Avis, whoever, they sell their cars out to auction and dealerships pick them up and dealerships bring them in and sell them as used cars. Some of those rental car companies have their own sales side, like Enterprise, where they sell their own cars. That was the source for their used car lot. That's another source of revenue. Think about that. You buy a car once, you can sell it. You can sell it once. As the dealer, though, you can sell it. You get a car once, you can sell it twice. You lease it once and then sell it as a used car when it comes back. That all got ripped up because the values and the availability of used cars was so tarnished or so bad or so decimated that people kept their lease cars. One, because people who typically lease cars turn that car in and lease a new car. That behavior changed too with COVID because new cars went up to this in price and availability went through the floor to where they couldn't get the car they wanted and they had to pay an exacerbated price for it. So it didn't make sense to lease anymore. So those people kept the car and bought it themselves. So they interrupted the funnel for used cars by buying the leased cars that normally would have gone to auction or to a dealership to sell as a used car on their lot. So now that is interrupted. So across the board in the Volkswagen brand, to answer your question, Vegan Gin, I'd say our top seller, Tiguan, then Atlas Cross Sport, then Jetta, then Taos, and Taos and Jetta, they kind of flip-flop. Depends on the month. Taos has had good months. Taos has had a strong run where it kind of gave Tiguan a run for the money. And then finishing up would be the ID4. ID4 is lower on that list depending on the market you're in. We're in the Midwest market, lots of rural areas. We're not going to sell as many EVs as somebody that's on a coast, is more progressive and has a lot of charger networks. We just don't have that stuff in the middle of the country yet. I will say a shining bright star in the middle of the country, though, is going to be Kansas City. Kansas City has a ton, well over 2,000, probably close to 3,000 chargers all over the city. They probably have eclipsed 3,000 now because that public utility there actually subsidized and partnered um, with companies to do chargers in Kansas City. So they are ahead of the ball. They're probably ahead of a lot of cities. And Kansas City is my favorite town in Missouri. I used to live there, and it's a great place. If you ever want to visit someplace like Nashville or something like that, you've been to Nashville and you want to find something different, try out Kansas City. You'll love it. Can't go wrong with it, and definitely try out the barbecue. Great place. Um, so, and to answer to your next question there, Vegan Jen, do people lease or buy? They do both. Leases are getting better, but at one point they weren't good. So you couldn't find cheap leases like you could before. You used to be able to lease a car $199, $299, $399 a month plus taxes and title and all that stuff. Those days are pretty much gone. And keep in mind too, COVID taught the manufacturers a thing or two too. They taught them about supply chain. They taught them about availability. They taught them about pricing and affordability. And they taught them things about how to manage inventory with dealerships. I did just post a video about how we get slammed with cars and trucks delivering cars, I should say, on the last days of the month. And that goes, it doesn't matter what brand it is. The manufacturers have figured out, hold off on sending cars to the dealership until that last 5 days of the month. And I guarantee you go to any dealer, doesn't matter if it's Mazda, Cadillac, Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, GM, whatever, Volkswagen, you're going to see truck after truck after truck showing up to these lots and dropping off truckloads of cars. You don't see a truck, you won't see many trucks with just 4 cars on them or 3 cars on them, or what you were kind of seeing during the pandemic. You're going to see full loads. And they're going to these dealers and they're dumping cars. It's because they take a snapshot that at the end of business on the 31st or the first day of the new month to determine what you get for allocations the next month. And they have a formula and they figured it all out, and they want you to have as many cars on the lot as possible, whereas the dealer wants to have as few cars as they can on the lot at the end of the month. So they're kind of butting heads with each other. The manufacturer wants you to have a high number, the dealer wants to have a low number. So they get more in their new allocation, they get the new stuff, and no one wants to be caught with their pants down, for lack of a better word, with old inventory when there's new stuff out there. So if you're transitioning from, say, 2023 model year to 2024 model year, you don't want to be stuck with a bunch of 2023s when the dealership down the road has got nothing but 2024s, and now they're selling the new hotness, and you got the old stuff where you're about to do final pay on your floor plan. Final pay on your floor plan is when it's the last markdown that the manufacturer will give you on a car on the lot before you have to write them a check for that car and you own it until you sell it. That's probably a little more shop talk than I need to be, but you get the idea there. Leasing is going to have a comeback though. The reason I say that is because leasing, at least in the past, it was a great way to get rid of negative equity in a car that you didn't love anymore, that you wanted to get out of. So let's say you owe $7,000 on a car that's only worth $3,000. Okay, that's $4,000 of inequity, and you don't want to put any money down, so you're rolling that $4,000 in on top of whatever you're purchasing. If you lease that car, you lease it for 36 months. You pay the higher payment as a consequence of the negative equity in that car, but that lease, when it's up, it's basically sopped up the toxicity or that negative equity in that car and made you whole again. It resets you at 0. So you can take that car, lease it for 36 months, and walk away at the end and get something new, and you're not carrying negative equity again. The difference between that and buying is if you buy that car with negative equity and roll $4,000 in, we'll say that same $4,000, you roll that into the new car. Now that car is artificially inflated, $4,000 higher than what you're paying for it. So guaranteed that you're going to be upside down, and even in 4 years, you're probably still going to be upside down because you haven't paid enough to eat away that $4,000 that you paid extra or that you added extra onto the car. You essentially increase the value of that car by $4,000, even though it's not worth that $4,000. So the value of the car is going this way, and by you adding money on, you've created this gap, and you're not closing this gap fast enough by making just payments. Buying that car and not paying extra, not putting money down, not doing something to take care of that negative equity is a detriment to that car. And so what happens is people are negative in a car, they roll it over, it becomes habitual because they tend to cycle through. They don't see a car to its payoff. They want something new before that car is paid off. So now maybe you paid down all but $3,000 of that inequity, or maybe all but $1,000. So you paid down $3,000 of inequity. You have $1,000 left. You still end up trading that car in and adding to the next car. So you've done it again, but maybe at a less level. So you're creating a snowball that goes downhill. And if you do that cyclically and you don't keep a car to pay off, then you're not doing yourself any favors. That's where a lease is going to be positive, or a definite plus and a positive thing. Here's the other thing too. If you buy cars every 4 years, think about leasing rather than buying. And the argument everyone gives us is, well, I don't own the car. You have nothing to show for it. Not true. You're creating your own used car. You're paying for the part of the car that you're using. You're paying for half a car. You have the opportunity to buy that car at the end of the lease for the residual amount that you signed up for when the day you leased the car. So if the residual amount is $15,000 on a Jetta, you can buy that car at the end of the lease for $15,000. Even though the markets, give you a case in point, I gave this example last week. The Jetta that I leased, I leased the Jetta R-Line, a 2020 Jetta R-Line. We ended up letting my daughter buy that car. She bought it when I got at the end of the lease. I could buy that car for $12,500. At the same time, I could buy that car for $12,500. It had 44,000 miles on it. The books said that car at used car market would sell for $23,000. Do the math. I had nearly $12,000 of equity in that car. Now, I don't expect that nowadays because now we're post-COVID. We're through COVID. The manufacturers have time to recalculate their algorithms and things of that nature. That's not going to happen again. But during COVID, if you had a COVID car, if you leased the car during COVID and you still are leasing that car and it's coming up, buy that lease. I tell you that every time. Doesn't matter. Buy it. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Because if you turn it into a dealer, they're going to scoop that cash and sell that car for a massive profit. And that's what dealers are looking for. So if you don't allow the dealership to make the money, you find a way to buy that car, sell it yourself or trade it in after you, yes, you got to pay taxes on it. Yes, you got to title it, but it's still worth the money to do it rather than turn that car into a dealership. Seriously. You won't get me to say that in person or anything like that. I'm telling you here because we're in this chat here. Let's see here. Thinking about buying a 2024 Tiguan SEL-R-Line. Do you think the 2025 model will have better features? Absolutely will. Absolutely it will. It will have better features. A lot of stuff. I talked about all that stuff earlier. Better interior, infotainment screen, better looks, illuminated light bar, illuminated logo, all of that good stuff. It's going to have all of that. You're not going to see any of that though. You're just not. And I hope I didn't lose anybody, but I'm looking at my screen here and it went out. So if you're still there, hang tight. If I did lose you, hopefully I'm back. My clock is still ticking here, so I think I'm still back. I think it just rolled to an ad. Let's see. Again, back to leasing. These cars that people bought during COVID, they're going to be ridiculously upside down. And they're not going to understand it. They're not going to be able to grasp it. It is crazy how upside down people are going to be now because, one, they paid extra. They paid a markup or market adjustment for a car over MSRP. And they probably didn't bring any money to the table to pay anything down or pay a down payment to eat into that substantial markup. Excuse me. Also, when you lease the car at MSRP, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 year warranty. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a 1 Yeah, you're probably not going to have a positive or an equitable position at the end of that lease. Let's see here. Um, yes, Fritz, you're absolutely right. It will be day and night difference between a 2025 Tiguan and a 2024. Day and night. I know we'll probably find out. Any idea when the ID Buzz? I did talk about that earlier. I think they're going to start in the 60s. I don't think they're going to be cheaper than that. ID7 is going to probably start in the 60s, the high 60s, mid 60s, the upper 60s. Both of those cars are going to be a pretty good chunk. Um, let's see. Um, also, back to leasing. Leasing a car is going to help take some of that toxicity away. So what we're probably going to see in leasing going forward is, yes, it will take away your inequity or your negative equity position to an extent, but the amounts at which people are going to be underwater in cars is going to skyrocket. I mean, literally take off for the rafters. Uh, just because of the market we just came out of, where everybody paid what they paid. The dealerships said take it or leave it. Dealerships absolutely raked people over the coals. My dealership did not. We did not do that. But they raked people over the coals for buying cars and leasing cars. Yes, I got paid a lot of money, but we stayed at MSRP. We didn't go up. Dealerships in general figured it out. But you're going to have to bring a down payment and eat some negative equity on cars. If you go to buy another car, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, people are going to have fights. Husbands and wives are going to fight over the fact that the position that they're going to be in when it comes to trading in a car. You paid $56,000 for this car, and the dealership's telling you it's worth 37. That's a hard pill to swallow. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially when your payoff still is going to be somewhere in the 40s. That's really going to be hard to deal with and come to terms with and reckon with. And people are going to end up having that problem. Let's see. I hope I'm still live. I can see myself on the screen here, but I've lost it on my computer screen. But there are chats coming in, so I'm not sure if I have a bad internet connection or if I'm just over cell phone right now or what. So if someone can type that they can still hear me, that'd be appreciated. Just help me out here because I can't see anything other than my phone screen here. Just let me know if I'm still running here. Okay, thank you, Kevin Sloan. All right, so let's see. I was talking about leasing in equity. I had dog hair on my thing. 24 Tiguan models end in June. Goodbye, Mexico. Yep. They're going to be back in Germany. And then we'll see. I don't think we'll actually see a 2025 on the lots until October, November, even though, as he said, production will end in June. I think we're going to see a lot of interest, a lot of hype in the cars. You're going to see a lot of buzz around the Tiguan. I mean, just no ifs, ands, or buts. And it's going to steal market from the other brands. It's going to steal people from the CRV, the Rogue, definitely the Rogue, because I think the Rogue is a little on the boring side. The CRV, Honda's into, excuse me, the RAV4 is definitely a boring vehicle. Don't get me wrong. Longevity and reliability, you got Toyota and Honda at the top. Nissan, can't say that for. That CVT is always problematic. I hate CVTs. I had a CVT in the car, and I'll never buy a car with a CVT again. Is there still a 12-year rust warranty on vehicles? No, they don't do the 12-year rust and perforation anymore. I believe it is all 7 years now. But they do a good job on the paint, the clear coat and things of that nature, but they dropped it. That was probably 4 or 5 model years ago. Let's see. I mean, keep typing your questions in there. Let's see. Yeah, the Tiguan's coming back to Germany, and I think that probably I'm not sure what they're going to do with the Taos and the Jetta. They're going to stay in Mexico for now, and it sounds like I mean, I'm privy to some information that maybe I shouldn't be, but it sounds like some people are not happy with how things are going there, and there may be a change coming overall. I can't speak any more to that because it's pure speculation. But yeah, there might be some changes coming to where the alignment of where cars come from. I'm thinking that Chattanooga might be ripe for an expansion of models. And that Scout factory is going to open up next year and start producing for 2026. Kevin Sloan, absolutely, there is. We did talk about that. There's a refresh for Jetta and Jetta GLI and Taos. Taos, Jetta, and Jetta GLI all get a refresh. New infotainment screen, LED light bar, illuminated logo. And Taos gets a 8-speed transmission standard across the board now. So that's going to be a change. So I think that means the DSG is gone. Back to the leasing. What I was referring to was the model year, not the model year, but people who bought in COVID years, 2020, 2021. Well, not 2020, because 2020, those cars were already in the pipeline and already been built. 2021, you had quality issues, supply issues, COVID issues, just crap. 2022 was the year of the delete, going into 2023. Here we are in 2024, and I still have a handful of cars that have some deletes on them due to chip shortages. And what Volkswagen figured out was they're not going to park cars and leave them partially finished and come back to them. Instead, that part's not available, build it without it, window sticker credit. That's what they did, and that was the smart way to do it. So that way we don't have issues like Ford or GM where they've got 2023 still sitting on the ground waiting for parts, or flooding dealerships with 2023 models while meanwhile everybody else is producing 2024s and moved on. So Volkswagen played that game pretty well. The thing I would caution anybody about, if you're in the market for buying a car and you own one of these COVID baby cars or these COVID cars, 2021, 2022, 2023, one, arm yourself, educate yourself, know what is deleted on your car, what features, what that value was for those features, and take it to a dealer. My God, if you got a car with deleted options on it and you're trying to get the most money for it, take it to a non-branded dealer. I'm telling you to do that. Don't go to a Volkswagen dealer, because they can pull the window sticker and say, oh, it's got this deleted, and this deleted. That's a ding. Also, on that note, it may not even be deleted items. There are product knowledge things that Volkswagen dealers represent that other dealers don't. You may have a Tiguan SE that doesn't have a sunroof. Those dealerships don't know that it's an option for a sunroof. They may not give you the diminished value because it doesn't have a sunroof. They may match it or look at market value, because of what a dealership does. They put your trade in a system. No one does it by hand anymore. Everybody's got an app, my dealership included, where we take pictures of we scan your barcode for your VIN. It pulls up the VIN. It pulls up the Carfax immediately. You put pictures in there as a salesperson. You take pictures and upload those pictures to the app, and it does market valuation on your car. It's not some sleazy guy just saying, I'll give you 12 grand for the car. We're ripping him off 18. His car gets 18, but we're going to offer him 12. Because it shows the graphs. It shows what that car is selling for within a certain miles or radius of the dealership. The dealership has set those parameters or algorithms. So they know what that car sells for in the market. So you've gone on cars.com and you're matching your car to a car in Phoenix or a car in Portsmouth or a car down in Miami when you're in the middle of the country. Those aren't relevant to where you are in the country. So they're not going to give you a value based on that. That's great that they're offering you 25 grand on there. You're going to have to drive your car to a dealer in Florida to get that, because the dealers in the Midwest are going to offer you what the market dictates. That's what's important. And it's a wholesale value, not a retail value. So people mistakenly go on cars.com and look at for how much a 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT costs or is selling for in the market, and that's the number they arm themselves with, and that's what the number they go to a dealership expecting. You can't do it that way. You have to go for that wholesale price because a dealer has to recondition the car. There's intake costs or pack costs that they have to associate with that. Odds are the car's going to need an oil change. It may need new brakes. It may need new tires. My dealership, and I'm going to tell you this is for dealerships across the country. It doesn't matter who you pick. They all do it. They have figured it out. They are a machine. They take in cars. Intake is a process. There's a manager that just manages intakes of used cars. Your car, your neighbor's car, whoever's car. They take those cars in, and their process is automatically the car needs an oil change. 2, it needs new tires. 3, it needs new brake pads. Those are 3 things that they automatically do to the car. You may not even think it does. It may pass inspection and not need it, but they're still adding these 3 costs onto the car. So that car is backed in with a pack cost and all of that stuff. It's money making for them because the department where that car is going to go to, especially if you go to these dealer conglomerates where they have BMW, Chevy, Oldsmobile. I said Oldsmobile. No one has Oldsmobile anymore. But GM, Chrysler, Cadillac, whatever. These multi-brand dealerships. They probably have one of those dealerships that do all of their cars on intake and then display them on a lot. Well, that unit that does the intake now hands an invoice to whichever dealership is selling that used car and says, pay me for my charges, my services to get this car upright for you. There's a certification fee. There's a pack fee. There's a tire fee. There's the paintless dent removal. There's the new windshield. There's this. There's that. All of those charges that department over in the other building pays that building, and they make money off of it. So it's a money-making machine. They do all that. Your Carvanas, your Vrooms, your Echo Parks, they're less likely to do those things and less likely to do that. So when you buy a car from them used, you're going to get what you paid for. How many people do you know that bought a used car from somebody online? Not CarMax. I'm not referring to CarMax because they're not necessarily online. They still have physical presences and physical dealerships. Vroom does not. Carvana does not. I'm not counting their vending machines. They don't have a reconditioning departments per se to do all that. Although they can say that this car's whatever. You get what you pay for. They're not doing paintless dent repair, all that stuff necessarily either. Whereas a dealership does all that, and if it's a branded car, Volkswagen dealer can sell certified cars. If there's a Honda dealer next door in the complex, we can also sell Honda certified cars. Same with Mazda. My dealership has Cadillac, Mazda, and Volkswagen. I can sell all 3 of those cars certified. They go through the certification process. They go through that intake process. That stuff gets fixed. That car is standing tall. You get it through Vroom. You get it through Carvana. It's not necessarily standing tall, and you may have title issues. And Vroom, yes, I understand. Vroom has ceased operations. But these guys ruined the used car market on purpose, and now we're all living in it. So let's see here. Kevin Lupison, 24 Atlas recall. I don't know what of a recall other than the fact that I know they were a handful, and I mean a handful. We're talking less than 200 units that got recalled for some type of, it was an assembly error with engine. We're talking less than 200 units. That's all I know about on 2024s. There is another recall on 2019 Atlas. That is the one that went public, hundreds of thousands of units. Actually, it was over 100,000. I want to say it was close to 200,000 units. The sensor for the airbag in the passenger seat. That one's still ongoing. That's all I know about recalls. Let's see here. No V6 on anymore at VW. VW is happy with the new engine on the Atlas. Yep. Let's see. Do you know if they will bring back the V6 for the Crossport or Atlas in 2026? No, sir. No more V6. Done. I think what's happening is the world as a whole is making this push toward BEVs or EVs, and they're phasing out engines. V6 is gone. V8s are going away. If everybody hasn't abandoned V8s, you're going to see there's V6s, there's turbo V6s, and there's turbos. Silverado's going to an all, I believe, turbo lineup. So there's that. Let's see. Do you know any price info on the Tiguan? That's to Fritz. I don't have any info, but Fritz, if you got any pricing info, you can chime in there. Um, I do know that I did see a European price spec that seemed to indicate that the Atlas, I'm sorry, spoke wrong. Atlas, talking about Tiguan. The Tiguan hybrid as a SEL-R-Line is going to be in that upper 40s range. You're talking 47, 48, which is about a $6,000 jump from what it is currently. Just got a notice in the mail about Volkswagen extended a warranty on my rear brake pads on my GLI from 1 year to 2. Yep. That is something that's going on. That is a supplier issue with the brake pads. It affects Jetta. The fact that you have a Jetta GLI is surprising me because I knew that affected Taos, but I didn't know it affected Jetta. But that does make sense because those are built in the same factory down in Mexico. So there's been reports of rear brake pads going out at 20,000 miles on the Taos. So they wear fast. Not sure what the cause of that is, but I know that that's supposedly due to the supplier that they're using. So they'll have to come out with something to fix that. Hey, I'm gonna admit to knowing stuff about a recall. I just sell them. I don't know about that either. 2025 Tiguan SEL-R-Line 40K. Yep, that's what I was seeing too. So back to the inequity thing and the leasing thing and buying thing. Plan on saving money if you're going to buy a car and trade it in before it's time. And if you're going to owe money on that car or pay down the car, pay down faster. Pay down faster. Much faster. Or come in with a big down payment when you buy something now. Interest rates are going to probably stay where they're at. They're probably not going to drop unless someone does special interest financing, which I talked about Volkswagen doing earlier. There's some 1.9s out there. There's some 2.9s. There's some 3.9s, and there's some 4.9s. Seems like they're all over the place. But those change all the time. I don't know what the specifics are on those. It's not my job to worry about those. I have a finance guy that worries about all that because he keeps up on those changes. We just know that something changed. Let's see. I touched on the COVID cars, the COVID quality issues, the deletes and things of that nature. Oh, and I was talking about if you're selling a car, take it to a non-Volkswagen dealer if it's a Volkswagen trade-in, where they're not going to be so knowledgeable about, hey, that car had an optional sunroof, that car had deleted options, or things of that nature. They're just not going to know about that. Whereas you go to a Volkswagen dealer, yeah, they're well-versed on things the fluctuations. So if you're one of the lucky people that has that Tiguan SEL-R-Line, it came out with a deleted sunroof. A sunroof delete. That was literally a thing in 2022. Take it to a non-Volkswagen dealer. They're probably not going to be hip to the fact that has a deleted sunroof, and they're going to give you Tiguan SEL-R-Line money, even though it doesn't have a sunroof. That's an additional $1,200 on MSRP. Let's see here. Yeah, 48K is a good price on that. Still under 50 grand for a German-built car. It's cheaper than an Audi. But these cars, I get the feeling, guys, Volkswagen is going Audi-esque on these cars. They are now not afraid to kind of dip their toes in the water of the waters of Audi. So they're trying to get their feet wet where they kind of compare to an Audi, just because they have to, because the market dictates that now. There are so many people out there that trash the interior of a Volkswagen compared to the competitors. Now, that is going to change. There's going to be a lot of features there. And like I said before, I'd like to see a heated steering wheel standard across all of them. A ventilated seat, standard across all of them. That upgraded interior, standard across all of them. Sounds like it's coming. FICO score need to be over 725 for best rates. Yes, 700 plus. 725 is definitely a good plan. Otherwise, you'll fall down a tier or two, depending on your score. Let's see. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, shopping for a car. There's been a huge uptick in people coming out for cars. They've heard, great, everybody's got inventory. Now I can do like we used to do in the good old days. I'm going to go to Mazda, then I'm going to go to Volkswagen, then I'm going to drive down to the Ford dealer down the road, and then we're going to go down to Chevy, and we're going to go where? Stop wasting your time. You're wasting your time, and you're wasting salespeople's time by shopping 7, 8, 9 dealers. Now the internet is such a big force and a big player in the world we live in. Figure out on paper without going to some dealerships. Don't go to dealerships and waste their time if you're going to go with a clipboard or a pen and paper and you're writing stuff down. Don't do it that way. That's the old school way of doing it, and that's wasting your time, which is valuable. That means you don't value your time enough when shopping for a car. And I sound like I'm being a little stern, I'm being a little terse, but it's the reality. You are wasting your time shopping from store to store. No one shops like that anymore. And if you're that customer that shops purely on price, then you don't care about how a car rides. So test driving the car, what it feels like to sit in it, going and sitting in a car and see how it feels, doesn't matter. Don't even do it. Don't waste your time. Don't do, oh, I want to get my hands on it. I want to see how it, no, because you're motivated only by price. So find out who's got the cheapest price online, then go to that dealer and negotiate your price. And then buy it. Don't go from a dealer to a dealer and go, give me your best price. Okay, I'm going to think about it and I'll call you on Saturday. Nope, you've wasted their time. You've wasted the manager's time, and what you've done is you've given that salesman just mental cruelty. And what I mean by that is every salesperson at every dealer is required to report to their manager before you leave. The manager sees you walk in and talk to a salesman. That salesman has to report to the manager before you get up to leave. Maybe while you're sitting there, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of back and forth. And that manager is saying, tell them this, tell them this, tell them that, tell them this, get them this, get them on paper. And by the way, hurry up. That's how every manager is at every dealer. I promise you that. So don't go in and negotiate a price on a car you have no intentions of buying. And what I mean by that is it all packs up to what I'm talking about. Don't go to a dealer if you're planning on going to the next dealer and driving another car and then going to the next dealer. That's what auto show's for. Do it at an auto show. Don't do it at a dealer, because that salesperson only gets paid if they sell you a car. So you've essentially, not only are you wasting their time, which is not hourly or paid in any way, shape, or form, but you're preventing them from making a sale with the next person. And I know that sounds like, but that's not customer service. That's not right. But that's how salespeople work. That's how salespeople are. That's how sales works, period. And that's how the world goes round. They have a family that they have to pay for. They have a house note they have to pay for. They have things they have to pay for. And you are preventing them from doing that by occupying their time with no intentions of even giving them the courtesy of a purchase. I know that sounds stern, but that's how that works. The other thing is, if you do your internet research, you know which brands you're interested in. If you don't like the fact that Volkswagen doesn't use buttons anymore, they use touch, then that means Volkswagen's out for that car. Don't come to a Volkswagen dealer and drive it. If a neighbor told you, hey, come test drive an Atlas, you're going to love it, then do that. Test drive the Atlas. But look at things in that category. Look at a Kia Telluride. Look at the Hyundai Palisade. Look at the Chevy Traverse. And then you go to that dealer, and that dealer, that salesperson is an absolute jackass to you, he's out. That means Chevy lost. That leaves Hyundai and Kia and Volkswagen. And if you run into me, I'm going to give you the same dog and pony show I give you on every video that I post up. Good to see you too. Let's see here. Inner Peace, where are you at? Let me know where you're at. So I'm going to give you the same dog and pony show I do in the videos. I open all the doors. I open the driver's door, the passenger door, the 2 rear doors, the rear hatch. I don't open the hood because nobody cares. If people did care, I would open the hood, and that's why I don't do my video. I don't do stuff on the hood in my under the hood in my videos, just because no one cares. And showing, I've sold 1,600 cars. I'm approaching 1,600 cars that I've sold in my 10-year career. Yes, I'm not the top salesman every month. I'm that middle of the road average guy, but my numbers are ticked up. my videos, this channel has definitely helped my sales. So I'm up there. I can sell upwards to 30 cars in a month. I can sell as few as 10 cars in a month. It's cyclical like that. But I'm going to give you that same dog and pony show I do in the videos. Show you this, and this. And make sure you're comfortable with the controls of that car before I send you on the road. And then when you leave, I'm going to tell you, make sure you test the turning radius of this car. Those of you that plan on test driving a Volkswagen, whenever you do it, you always take that car in a parking lot and crank the wheel. It will blow your mind, the turning radius. I'm so proud of that. I tell everyone that. Make sure you do that. But only look at the cars you're interested in. If you're not interested in a Chevy Trax, but just because it's $22,000, you feel like you need to look at it, I guarantee you, if you're not interested in a Chevy Trax, it didn't do anything to attract you, not its looks, not its interior, not anything about it, and the fact that it's 22 grand is the only reason you're looking at it, don't bother looking at that car. You're not going to be happy with that car. Don't look at a Toyota RAV4 if you care about creature comforts and interiors, the way everything's laid out, buttons and knobs. If you care about buttons and knobs, look at a Volkswagen, look at an Audi, look at a Mazda, look at a Cadillac. Don't look at other stuff. So do your research at home and then figure it out. But don't waste the salesperson's time just because you feel like, oh, look, there's a Yugo dealer down the street. Let's go there. No, they don't have anything you want. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to earn your business. They didn't. They're just there. They're just there. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. By the way, just called my local dealer today and priced the center console that's gloss plastic. Better buy replacements while they're in production. The cost is $180 US. Do you already need a center console replaced? I'm curious. And it sounds like you're talking about Atlas or Crossport, I'm guessing. But here's what I will tell you. Volkswagen raised their game on interior and all that stuff because they want your business. They don't advertise well. But word of mouth, neighbors, the school pickup line, those are the top places to get people to buy Volkswagen Atlases. I'm telling you what. Oh, you're just OCD. I love that you admit that. Yeah, Golf R. Okay, gotcha. I don't have that because I have a 2022. It wasn't gloss black in 22. They didn't start that till 2023. Love it that I don't have it. Not mad at it. Don't miss it a bit. In fact, thinking about something, you might want to check and see if there's some type of almost like a screen protector cover that goes over that keeps it from, almost like a PPF treatment that keeps it where it's just wipe off type of thing there on that gloss black. If you guys are listening and somebody's listening to that, no one's designed that yet, you're welcome. I just gave you an idea. Covering up where it's just cutouts for where the cup holders are, and you cover that and it's just wipe and go. So you don't have to worry about stains, microfiber cloth, or anything like that, or little scratch marks in that plastic. So OCD partners like my friend here, Inner Peace, man, get it. Yeah, you got Lapis Blue. Love it. Difference is I did get DSG, not manual, but man, I would have got either one. It was a replacement for mine that sank on that ship that caught fire, the Felicity Ace. Yep, VW owners are OCD. I would agree with that because I get more crap about the volume knob not being pointing straight up and down when I make videos. You can't believe how many people have called me out on that. So yeah, I know all Volkswagen owners are OCD. So what was I talking about? When you go to a dealership, don't waste their time. Tell them what you're looking for. Don't chat about, if you're not buying today, they don't care about the car you had as a kid that your dad had or anything like that. Just get to the point, make the deal, move on. It'll be the best experience. Because here's what happens. Those people who do waste the time, they write nasty reviews. They write nasty reviews because they felt that they were pushed off or they weren't catered to. And you can't demand to be catered to in an environment where people are strictly commissioned. You can't be catered to if you have no intentions of buying. So if the first thing out of your mouth when you come in tomorrow to my dealership, it says you're not buying till October, great. What car do you want to look at? I'll get the keys for you. I'll pull it up and I'll show you that. And you're welcome to go for a test drive. Oh, well, I want to talk about the incentives. What incentives do you have? No, sir. Can't talk to you about incentives because any incentives that I have will be dead in October. In fact, every car that's on my lot will be gone in October and burning gas or electricity. They're gone. So at that point, any objections, any questions that you ask aren't relevant to that salesperson or that car or that dealership at that point in time. They could change ownership. They could get bought by someone else. They could change brands. They could lose their shingle, as they say, or lose their, and then they're gone. They don't care. That's why dealerships in a lot of people's eyes are aggressive and they're evasive. They're evasive for two reasons. We'll get into that too. That's another piece. Dealers are evasive because if I told you that I could give you $1,300 off of this car right now if you buy it today and you leave, you're going to go to the dealership, the same brand across town, and tell them, well, that dealer over there told me they give me $1,300 off. How much can you give me off? And then they go, I'll see that because they want to steal the sale from me and my dealership and get you as a customer. And they will do whatever it takes to steal you from me. So they're going to tell you X. Okay, now you've got my number and X. You go to a third dealer. In St. Louis, there are 6 dealers. 6 dealers that you can shop at and get a price from. There are people who will bother to go to all 6 of them and ask for different numbers. And then they sit down and they compare them. And there are people out there who will say, well, that's the way I want to do it. Good on you. You do that. You do you. But here's the thing. Dealerships don't like to give out numbers, and you will run into a dealer once in a while that won't give you a number. My dealer is one of those. We're not going to give you a number if you're not a buyer today. You sitting in a seat is your best asset for getting a car and negotiating a car deal. I promise you, you're going to like me better than the salesman at the next place or anybody else in St. Louis because I'm real, I'm honest, I'm straightforward. Look at my videos. Look at what I do. I don't have to do any of this stuff that I do, yet I do. And I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy the fact that people watch this. I enjoy that there's people watching right now. I enjoy that there are people who will watch this later. I enjoy that to the I love that. I love that. I enjoy that to the dickens. I mean, that's just, that's a dumb saying. But anyway, I will tell you, whenever you're ready to buy, we're going to make the deal. We're going to make the best deal for you. We're going to give you the best number for your trade, all that good stuff. But you have to be ready to buy. If you're not ready to buy, the last thing you should do is be going to a dealership. And it happens around the holidays too. Any kind of a travel holiday, Labor Day, Memorial Day. I can't tell you how many people come in. Oh no, I'm from Chicago. We're not buying today. Why are you at a dealership? You traveled from Chicago to visit friends and family, and you're bored now. And now you're coming to a dealership to test drive cars and to act like you're going to buy something. You're wasting someone's time. Please don't do that. Be respectful and don't waste their time. If you want to drive something, just say, hey, look, dude, I'm here from Chicago. I'm not buying anything today. I might buy something when I get there. But, hey, we just want to test drive a GTI. Can we do that? Sure. I need driver's license insurance. Here you go. Plain and simple. GLI, how can I buy from you? Well, first off, reach out to me. My email's in the comments there. My phone number is also in the comments there. You can shoot me a text. That's the best way. My dealership will require you to travel to St. Louis. I'm not sure where you're at, but my dealership requires you to travel to St. Louis and buy in person. And a lot of people go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why is that? Well, I have a Cadillac brand next door to me, and the average price of an Escalade starts with a 1. Average price of an Escalade. You're in New York. Yep, I've had a person from the Bronx and a person from New York City. They flew in and drove home. It's 21 hours to drive home. I'll tell you that. To New York City. It's just somewhere between 19 and 21, depending on how fast you drive. And if you're in a new GLI, I'm going to guess you're going to drive pretty quick. Yep. 10-year, 200,000-mile engine and powertrain warranty, free of charge on every new Volkswagen gas engine car. Yep, that's true. What was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about. The GLI is a fun car. It's an absolute blast. It's a GTI with a trunk. It's a GTI with room for car seats. The GTI has room for car seats, but the GLI is a little better option. Sometimes you can appease the wife better with a GLI than a GTI. Just for thought there. Yep, inner peace. Where are you? It's awesome that you got a Golf R though, but I'm telling you what. Yep. 10 years, 200,000 mile engine and powertrain warranty. Yep, absolutely. Every new car. I even made a video about that. That's on there too. Let's see. So I was talking about wasting time. That's what I was talking about. I would have purchased from you, Reese, but I'm leasing. Didn't want to add those miles driving back to Wisconsin. And I understand that. I recognize that. So the lease, yeah, we can't do that because I was gonna say, I worked at a dealer previously where they would start their leases at $9.99, which would accommodate for that. But we got in trouble for doing that. I just remembered that, and yeah, they don't allow that anymore. So that was way back at the beginning when I started. Imagine starting a lease with a free 999 miles on it. That was a good gimmick. But yeah, they don't do that anymore because it's illegal. Where do they? Let's see here. You're from Avondale, Arizona, formerly San Diego, where they do markups like crazy. Yep. Golf R's, 15 to 20 over. I will tell you, we do mark up our Golf R's, but we only mark them up $3,000. There's other dealers in town where I'm at marking them up $5,000, $6,000, and more. But we're the cheapest on markups. Speaking of that, I do have a Golf R coming, and I got a rumor that I'm getting another one allocated to me. But I still have three, soon to be two people on my wait list. So that one's going to go to somebody that's on the list. If you want to be added to my list, we're running out of time for 2024s because this is the last year for manuals. And 2025, we'll get the new infotainment screen. And then after that, allegedly, the Golf R goes electric with the GTI. So, man, you want to get on a wait list somewhere kind of soon. Inner Peace, I'm curious, what kind of markups are you seeing out there where you're at? Let's see. And then the other thing I was talking about while we're waiting for somebody to type in here, the thing I was talking about wasting time. If you're 6 months out, man, you can go look at cars. But here's the thing, 6 months is half a year. So 6 months from when you're in, if that 6 months window that you are in involves a possible model year change, in the meantime, you shouldn't be looking at cars because they're irrelevant at that point. And then a lot of people out there go, well, I'll just wait. They'll have great incentives on these last year's models. I spent many years working at Best Buy. I know how that goes. I worked in the home theater, TV department, and the computer department. Oh, I'll just wait for the new models to come out. The 3D TVs are coming out. The Super Bowl's coming up, and there's going to be something. There's going to be X. There's always something coming. There's always something new coming. That person almost never buys. They never buy anything because all they're doing is just talking themselves out of it because there's new tech, then new tech, then new tech, then new tech, then still new tech, and then that's a reason not to buy. So those people are just kidding themselves, and they're just wasting time. And they don't buy for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and so on and so on. But if you're 6 months out, you don't need to be putting your hands on cars, talking to salespeople and things of that nature. You should be coming up on Sundays when the car lot is closed and just looking at what they have and looking at prices and if they're putting window stickers on and trolling their website for the everyday price, because it doesn't matter what the price is or what the best deal is or the out the door number or what the incentives are, because they're dead at the end of the month you're currently in. They don't matter. So if you're 6 months out, stop looking at variables that don't matter. Stop looking at cars that don't matter. Will your dealership ship to Virginia? Yes, we will if you purchase in person. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there are people that don't want to put their miles on. I sold the car to a guy in Victorville, California, and we shipped the car to him. He flew in. I picked him up at the airport, took him back to the airport. He flew out, and we shipped his car. I talked to another lady, sold her car in Los Angeles. It was a limited edition Passat. She flew in, did the paperwork. We shipped the car back to LA. So she's driving her Passat out in LA. She saved the miles. I also had a guy who drove in from California literally last month and bought his Golf R and drove it home. That's a fun drive. Talk about Cannonball Run. That sounds like a blast. And they're about to do it again because the wife is coming in to get her Golf R, which is on the water right now and coming to port probably in the next 28 days or so. And then she'll be coming out to get her car. I love that. Do you ship to Toronto? Can't ship across the U.S. border. Sorry about that. I know you're kidding. Yeah, we can ship anywhere in the country. The shipping is going to be on you, though. We have a shipper we use, but you have to pay for it. Shipping prices are starting to seem like they're ticked down or stabilized, but with COVID, they were ridiculous. And if you're thinking a few $100s for shipping, guess again. There's insurance, licensing. You have to have a licensed carrier carry it. If you want it covered, that costs more. So figure on average, you're looking at somewhere the mid to upper 2,000 range. Now, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I'm trying to say 1,500 to somewhere around 2 range. It's not cheap, but you're talking about somebody insuring your baby, your new baby, putting it on a truck and giving it to you, white glove service. They're not scratching up your rims. They know what they're doing. They're delivering it just like they would deliver a car to the dealership. They're delivering it to your house. And they're probably going to be on a truck, a rack carrier that needs tree clearance and things of that nature. So, yeah, they are the real deal. I hope those tips help you about not wasting a dealership's time. Like I said, if you're not on the now, don't bother going to the dealership. Don't bother engaging with a salesman. Don't ask him questions about financing, terms, rates, things of that nature, because they're irrelevant. They're all irrelevant if you're not planning, if you're not buying on the now. Will the warranty be honored out of state? That 10-year 200, yes. The 4-year 50, yes. 3 years of free maintenance, yes. The extra free 3 years of maintenance, no. And I'll go through those line by line. That's Devin Hanablu. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name just now. So you get a 4-year, 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, or new car limited warranty, I should say. It's called a new car limited warranty. 4 years, 50,000 miles. Covers electronics, buttons, knobs, paint, all that stuff. Engine and powertrain up to 50,000 miles. 50,000 with 0000. 50,000 miles. Okay? That includes 2 years of free maintenance through Volkswagen. Volkswagen across the board does 2 years of free maintenance. Me, with my dealership being in the St. Louis market, we all choose to do a 3rd year of prepaid maintenance. That's a cost that goes onto the window sticker, but all of the cars in the St. Louis market typically show a $30K service included in that. So $30K prepaid maintenance is in there. Okay? So that's different than the 2 years. So they get 3 years. That means if you go to any Volkswagen dealer in the country, they're going to do a oil change for you at 10, 20, and 30 free of charge on Volkswagen's dime. Because Volkswagen's essentially paid for it up front. That 3rd one, yes, you pay for it on a window sticker, but that means it's in Volkswagen system tied to your VIN. You go to any dealership in the country, and it continues 48. I can't speak for Hawaii or Alaska. I pointed up because Alaska's up there, allegedly. But you're going to get that oil change covered. We give you 3 additional years at my dealership for a total of 6 years of included maintenance. So if you're in the St. Louis metro area, Kansas City area, Columbia area, Illinois, Edwardsville, Kansas City even, you can drive down and get an oil change. I'm only 283 miles away from Kansas City. So you can drive down and get that oil change because you have to do it once every 10,000 miles. You are going to get 6 of those free total, 3 of them embedded in the window sticker, which I just talked about. You can do it any dealer in the country. So your local dealer in Kansas City will still do those. Plus, I'm going to give you 3 more, but they're only redeemable at my dealership. And on top of that, I give you a 10-year, 200,000-mile engine and powertrain warranty free of charge. 10 years, 200,000 miles, and it's nationwide. Doesn't cost you anything. That one is paid for by the dealership. That's a 3rd party called Easy Care that does that for us, that administers that warranty. and they have a $250 deductible whenever you use that warranty, but you won't use it until your 50,000 miles of powertrain warranty is up. So I hope that explained that well to you. And I said the name right. Awesome. Okay. Again, don't waste the dealership's time. Don't waste a salesman's time. If you're in the market means you're on the buy in the next 30 to 45 days. Period. No more than that. I would not waste someone's time if you're more than 30 days out, and I wouldn't be looking at cars that are going to be irrelevant 6 months from now. Just my opinion, my 2 cents. So we talked about inequity, being underwater on a car. If you're in an inequity position, make sure you bring a strong down payment or keep your car. If you're looking to trade out of a car with a strong inequity position, plan on leasing that car and plan on bringing money to put down on top of that to lease that car. So basically what that does is the lease is sopping up that bad, that antifreeze or that toxic whatever on the ground, that sour milk being your inequity. A lease absorbs all of that, and then when you're done with the lease, you walk away from that lease. Don't buy it, because your residual is probably high too. Just walk away from it, lease something else, or buy something else. But you've been reset to zero, or you've been made whole. Quoting Mike from Breaking Bad. You need to be made whole when you're in an inequity position, and a lease can do that. I say can. Used to be it always did that, but now we have inequity numbers that are so out of whack. Coming out of COVID and this COVID storm that we were in, that there are some times where a dealership's actually going to tell you, I can't help you, because the inequity is too great. And if you don't contribute enough to make that inequity a manageable position for both you and the dealer, they walk away from the deal. They can't do it. There's no deal. So I hope that makes the questions. All right. It's time for me to wrap this up. It's about 8:16 where I'm at, or 16 minutes after the hour. I'm going to need to wrap this up because I'm kind of rambling on. I don't really have a structure. I covered everything I had in the structure. The feed is going to be up. It usually takes about 2 hours for this feed to actually upload. Please be sure to leave a like if you liked what you heard or you like this format. I promise you at some point I'm going to get off my lazy, you know what, and finish this room down here. I'm getting there. I cut the drywall here. I just haven't put it up yet. I got more drywall over there. I'm getting there. Baby steps. I got to balance all of this. The videos, these live streams, and selling cars with days off, 2 daughters, and a wife that need time too. So, bye, Vegan Jen. Kevin Sloan, thank you, sir. Kevin Sloan, I'm curious where you at. I don't know if you told me where you were. But you guys have a great evening. Stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great evening. And until next time, peace. Go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. Take care, guys.